Gore lolu rek la sama dum moyum wi sori kaso diami ak ndogalu nari. Gore lolu rek la mi nooy si subatel bayil ci nun nimrod ak tukke yi ci biir taxawal ngir sa xel dogal la kala yaagi. Déglul bu baax sama doom daggu deret bi fatel nit kolo bi loolu naar burus lu la sa deret ci nooy la jóge dokkat bu sel bi ñaari kongo yi tubaab yi ñoŋ ko nangu woon nay duumi ñu doon wowe pigme batu wakala bendu reng la bendu dundu laata ñu koy yàqa. Yàlla mooy bëtti fekk lépp ci nzayam mboote xol bi dafa ne. Déglul turi ñu sotti ngir nak ñu africain chinois blanc métis noir turu yàqa xel. Sem moo doon romantique Jafet moo doon Grèce gitan ak cham-chamit irnab dëggu dem bi bible bi dem ci tere bu sel bi la nekk. Waaye Nimrod mu du mango dafa yàkka yumuy ki ñuy woowe tubaab dafa sotti tekke ngir ñu ree. Ñun duñu tabax jàmm dañuy bàyyi xare bi dee. Gore du géewu bu mooy fexe ba jeune te del ba ti léopard bi fekk tu dundu bu baax bi. Gore loolu rek la Congo.
Support the preservation of a vital cultural tradition. Vodou faces erasure and misrepresentation in today's world. Your support ensures Vodou's future and cultural integrity. Help preserve this vital culture today.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine all blessed greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Vodou Secrets and Recipes. Voodoo Hoodoo 101. Powered, promoted, sponsored, produced by, and brought to you by NOIVD, New Orleans International Vodou Day. The core mission of NOIVD exists to restore rightful dignity, authority, and global recognition to the Vodou, and Voodoo family of traditions. It positions New Orleans as a cultural and spiritual crossroads where Africa, Haiti, and the diaspora meet in mutual respect. The mission centers on three pillars: cultural preservation, safeguarding lineages, languages, rituals, and cosmologies from distortion, commercialization, and erasure. Authentic representation, ensuring that the world encounters these traditions through legitimate priests, priestess, practitioners, chiefs, and communities. Global diplomacy, building bridges between Benin, Haiti, New Orleans, and the wider diaspora to strengthen unity and shared purpose. This mission frames New Orleans International Vodou Day not just as a festival, but as a cultural embassy, We continue to invite your support, participation, visitation, donations, promotion, and sponsorship to this powerful legacy and expanding international endeavor. Please continue to visit us for connection and more information on our symposium, Afroecology exhibit, Sacred Process from the River to Congo Square, and our formal ceremony on May 24th. We continue to invite your support, participation, donations, volunteership in this very powerful and again growing international legacy and event. Please visit us at www.vodouday.org, www.vodouday.org for more information, certainly coming updates, and to contact us about how you may join us, participate, volunteer, sponsor, and certainly promote this powerful event. We're also grateful for your continued support and participation by way of social media, all of our Facebook pages, profiles, and groups, our international listenership and participation by way of LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, certainly Instagram, and those who continue to show up and support us live in chat. Our beloved community member Daniel Neal, 3465, our beloved Nina Lloyd, Q3S, and certainly our Mambo Asagwe, Sally Ann Glassman, Ayibobo. We certainly do appreciate you and yours, and we will be unmuting our beloved co-host, the Queen Mother, Sister Tony Val Martinez, community mother, community activist, community agitator, momentarily, Elder Reggie, Green Soap, leader and founder of Shrine of the White Cloth and committed co-administrator of NOIVD. My beloved godson and second priest, beloved Tyson Allen Horn, also our executive producer for our coming docu-series, Respect Voodoo, and an initiated member of La Source Ancien Anfor, and another beloved member of Ancien Anfor, La Source Ancien Anfor, and committed team member of NOIVD, the beloved Sister Bianca Johnson Plessy, Queen Mother Sister Bianca Johnson Plessy, who will be with us all momentarily. And we are continuing our ongoing conversation for this week, which we covered on the first two nights of this week, and we will certainly move forward tonight. The oh, please forgive me, my my notes got away from me. Give me a second here, y'all. Here we go. Okay. Yes, we are continuing on with our certainly our ongoing conversation about the necessity, purpose, need for voodoo, voodoo, vodou in a modern world, in the present world, today, if you will, and our role as an organization, as a community in furthering this cause. When we talk about voodoo, vodou, and voodoo today, again, we're not talking about relics of the past. We are talking about living nations, moving, breathing, reshaping the spiritual landscape of the modern world. And to understand how they are transforming Western societies right now, we have to begin where the story truly begins. The motherland, Ouida, Benin, our sister city in contract and relationship to our annual international New Orleans Vodou Day. And because before the ships came, before the scattering, before the world tried to rename us and redefine us, there was already a complete cosmology, a universe where human beings, nature, ancestors, and destiny were in constant conversation, a world where the sacred was not distant, it was daily, it was in the marketplace, in the family compound, in the drum, in the divination tray, and certainly in the breath. And when our ancestors were forced across the Atlantic, that cosmology did not stay behind. It traveled in memory. It traveled in ancestral memory, locked in the very coded DNA in our blood. It traveled in rhythm. It traveled in the bones. It traveled in the names of the spirits whispered under breath when speaking them aloud meant punishment or death. Voodoo crossed the water as a nation that refused to die. And in Haiti, in the West Indies, in the Caribbean, Voodoo became Vodou, a new expression of an ancient truth. It became the spiritual engine of the resistance, the backbone of community, the force that said, we are still here. In Brazil and South America, it became Candomblé, Umbanda, Batuque, each one a living archive of African nations reborn in the diaspora, each one a reminder of what we left behind, but certainly a reminder of what we carried forward again in the very encoded DNA that we carry in our blood. Each one, again, a living archive of African nations reborn in the diaspora. Each one a reminder that you can uproot a people, but you cannot uproot a cosmology that lives inside the body. And then there is New Orleans, the crossroads of crossroads, the place where Voodoo, Vodou, and Congo traditions met indigenous nations, European powers, Caribbean migrations, and the realities of Creole life. Here, the tradition became voodoo, a uniquely New Orleans expression shaped by survival, creativity, and the insistence that the sacred belongs to the people, not the elite, not the powerful, the people. And today in the 21st century, Western societies are spiritually hungry. People are overwhelmed with information, but starving for meaning. They are connected digitally, but disconnected spiritually. They are searching for grounding, for ritual, for community, for a sense of belonging that goes deeper than algorithms and deeper than Sunday morning performances. And this is where Voodoo, Vodou, and Voodoo are reshaping the Western spiritual landscape, not by becoming something new, but by reminding the world of something ancient, that spirituality is not a belief system, it is a relationship system, a relationship with land, with lineage, with community, with destiny, with the unseen world that shapes the seen one. These traditions re indigenize the Western mind. They restore the sacred to the everyday. They challenge colonial narratives that have distorted our image of centuries. And they offer a spiritual technology that is embedded, embodied, communal, reciprocal, and alive. But transformation without guidance becomes distortion. And that is where New Orleans International Vodou Day steps in. NOIVD is not just an organization, it is a cultural and spiritual embassy, a diplomatic bridge between nations of the motherland and nations of the diaspora, a guardian of authenticity, not to exclude, but to protect, to ensure that what is being shared with the world carries lineage, carried integrity, carries truth. New Orleans International Vodou Day bridges, builds bridges from Ouida to Haiti, from the Caribbean to Brazil, from South America to New Orleans, and out into the global diaspora. It creates a table where all these traditions can sit together, speak together, and be recognized as one extended family, and to educate the public with authority, offering clarity where there has been confusion. context where there has been caricature, and truth where there has been myth. As Western societies continue to shift, Voodoo, Vodou, and Voodoo are not simply being adopted, they are transforming the very way people understand spirituality. They are teaching the West to honor ancestors, to respect the land, to see the divine in community, to embrace ritual as a way of life, and to understand destiny as a partnership rather than a punishment. And New Orleans International Vodou Day stands as the lighthouse guiding that transformation, protecting the roots while nurturing the branches. So today, as our beloved co-hosts begin to unmute and come into the conversation, as we open this conversation to our listening and participating audience and chat members, we're not just talking about religion, we're talking about ancestral memory, we're talking about identity, we're talking about the future of spiritual life in the West. We're talking about the responsibility we carry as practitioners, as leaders, and as descendants of nations that refuse to disappear. So let us open this up. I want to hear from each one of you, virtually, as well as my beloved co-hosts here on the panel, because this isn't just my perspective. This is indeed a communal community, a global conversation. So again, greetings and salutations, beloved Queen Mother Sister Tony Val Martinez. Please do unmute and come on in. Elder Reggie Green Soap, our beloved brother Tyson Horn, and our Queen Mother Sister Bianca Johnson Plessy. Good evening, and what say you, beloveds?
Good evening. How's everyone on the panel and in the listening area?
Hello, hello. How's
How
everyone?
you doing? The word to me, religion, when I think of religion, it always just makes me think of something people do on Sunday. They go to church on Sunday. They say they're religious, they say they're Christian, and all this other stuff, but it's not what your mouth says, it's what your hands do. And voodoo, hoodoo, root work, whatever you want to call it, wherever it stemmed from in your family, is something that you live with, is done every day, not just when everybody have to go to a meeting, go to a ceremony, go to church. And that's why I don't even like to call it a religion. I mean, I know religion means something you do religiously, but in the known colonized religions, a lot of people don't do it religiously unless you a nun or a priest, where you simply locked into it and can't go any further. But I enjoy it as a lifestyle. I mean, I guess because it's the only thing I knew. Without knowing that I knew it, it comes so easy and natural. So what are your thoughts, Elder Reggie? Uh-oh, Elder Reggie. Brother Tyson, what are your thoughts? Elder Reggie might be having problems again.
I'm here, Sister Tony. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
hear
hear
you now.
you.
Thank you. Brother Tyson, Divine Prince, great topic and great show. I wanted to chime in last night, but the weather stopped me. Sister Bianca and our illustrious, panel. The way I see it is we live in a duality. And that duality is there is a spirit world. And that spirit world is affecting us daily. It's affecting us in the way we walk, talk, eat, and almost everything we do. And so having voodoo, hoodoo, or voodoo was a way of checking in with a system that neutralized this spirit warfare that is amongst us and around us. Like it or not, we have to fight spirit with spirit sometimes. And I believe these systems will work in the modern time, what we call modernity, 2026 and beyond, because we see all the negative forces through the media, through social media, and even sometimes in our community, people fighting, people shooting, people robbing, people disrespecting each other. These are spirits behind some of those actions. And we're just trying to get a modality to help us sustain and fight back. That's the way I see it.
You know, one of the things our elders used to say way back in the day when we sat on our porches and everybody knew everybody. The old people used to could tell by the way a certain person was acting different from themselves. They would say they got debt on them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because our elders could see that spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Our elders could see that spirit of debt on a person, and it was affecting their actions. I've seen it in my younger years because, you know, I kind of knew what signs to look for, and seeing it, your spirit would just tell you to stay away from them. Don't stand next to them because we don't know how debt coming to them, but it's sure coming from. And a lot of people, you know, when they say they don't believe in ghosts, they don't believe in this, that, and the other thing. But everyone, every single solitary person alive and children of the age of understanding have seen something that they cannot explain.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened that they could not explain, could not find a reason for, an earthly reason for. And a lot of people just dismiss it and start second guessing themselves. Well, oh no, I didn't see that. I'm tripping. That wasn't what happened. And I don't know why the denial to me. I don't know why the denial.
What you know, Sister Tony, I think to you know, one of my, not to answer the question, but when you say the denial of it, I think that, you know, Elder Reggie and I had a good conversation today. And, you know, it's one of the things there where you may grow up and your family and in your upbringing, a lot of the times when we experience certain things, people will say, "Oh yeah, that happened to me too. Oh, that happened to me. Oh, I've seen that. Oh yeah, well, you know, da da da." But then when you talked about when you first started talking, you were saying when you're thinking about religious aspects, where it's just a matter of going to church and you know, going on Sunday to different day. A lot of times, those experiences that people have talked about were shunned with established religions, and therefore just kind of, you know, it's taboo. Don't talk about that. We're just going to leave that. That's hush hush, you know. And I think to what Brother Ty was talking about in the beginning about the future of what things going to look like in the West when it comes to spirituality and the connectivity of ancestral what was the word that you used, brother? I forget, but you're talking about like it's coming from your identity, from your, you know, the DNA, when it's in your DNA. It's like I think now is a good time because for the people who grow up, whether they grow up religious or not, the people who feel in their spirit, people who feel innately that something just doesn't jive right. Something is just, I just don't feel right here in this community, in this setting, in this environment, at this church, at this, under this religious premise. We live in a society now where there's a lot more infinite information available, a lot more access, a lot more technology, to where if a person feels like that the tribe they were brought up in is just not necessarily the tribe that they vibe with, then there's more opportunities for them to explore what they feel in their heart. You know, I was telling Elder Reggie, like, you know, I feel the reverence of being in a Catholic monastery the same way I feel the reverence of standing on the Mississippi, you know, with Brother Makaru and Divine Prince and Sister, you know, man, why am I drawing a blank on her name? But our sister that's down there, we offer libations and offerings. So if you're down, you know, on the side of a river offering ancestral offerings and saying prayers, to me, it's the same reverence, it's the same awe. And it's a matter of being humble to know that there's something bigger than yourself, and then also being respectful enough to respect the next person, to where what they're doing, you know, you see the truth in what they're doing and not shun them and ostracize them just because they're not like you. You know, that's one of the things talking about National Voodoo Days. Like, we have all these different principles and disciplines coming together under the understanding that voodoo, and Vodun, we talking about spirit. We're inclusive of each other, and hoodoo as well. It's like we're talking about spirit. So that's one thing that I see. I'm hopeful for the future of the West.
And you know what you said about people telling you, don't say that, don't talk about that. That is so very true. Because although I could talk to my mother about it, and my mother knew me and knew what was going on inside of our house, she told me, don't tell anybody else the things I saw. And you know me. Because I had a social worker being an adoptive child. At first, I was in foster care. So you know me, I just blurted it out. I see demons. I see demons. And the lady was like, you see demons? What kind of demons? That's why every time they make that sound from that little boy in that movie, I see dead people. It reminded me of just what I told the social worker. I see demons. And I went to talking to her, and that ended up me having to go to psychiatric appointments. That's how serious stuff like that is.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s and 70s. And that has shied a lot of people away. Like Brother Tyson said, we've been told not to talk about it. It's not real and stuff, but they got so much information today out there proving it's real. If people would only take the time to investigate and look and find out what's going on. You know, I was at work one night, and I worked in an open call center for an alarm company. And I read back in my chair, and I saw an awful vision of a bucket of blood being, you know how you kick a mop bucket over with the water spreads out from the bucket, of blood on a hardwood floor. And I jumped back up, and they in my chair real quick, and they said, girl, what's wrong with you? And I said, oh, I just had a vision of a bucket of blood spilling over on the floor. And they was like, girl, you so crazy. How you gonna see a bucket of blood just for no reason? You at work. Well, about 2 days later, a very good friend of mine shot up his whole family. 2 twin babies that were 9 months old in the baby bed. His stepson and his stepdaughter, who neither one was above the age of 11, and his girlfriend. And they had a hardwood floor. And the police officer said this comment: it looked like somebody turned over a bucket of blood on that floor. I saw it before it happened, but I just didn't know what I was seeing. You know, but me telling people what I saw and their reaction from me, but then when they found out what actually happened, here you go. You said that. You said that. I don't know.
But Sister Tony, please let me come in. That's prophetic. And Sister Bianca, we're gonna get to you. But if you listen to Divine Prince show over the months, he hits on something that's very, very, very important, and that's called a haint. We call it haint blue. Hoodoo was so effective in neutralizing the haint. If you do the research, what is haint? Haint is spirits that was affecting people in all walks of life. And that was a catchphrase word they used because they couldn't put a name to it. And hoodoo was very effective in, you know, neutralizing the haint spirit. And so now in 2026, we're going back to Voodoo. We're using drumming, we're using dancing, we're using sacred word because the spirit has revved up its muscle. It is pounding us on every level.
Mm.
Believe me, the spirits are fighting us. And you say, why would the spirit fight us? Because they're just negative forces and they're positive forces, and they do what they do. And they're showing up in a hell of a way, and we have to neutralize it. Sister Bianca, you like to add to the topic?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I do have just like I just want to know, like, what are you guys input on this? Because what I have noticed is that, like, I know yesterday we talked about how everything is like a repeating cycle. Like some of the things that happened in the past, it comes back around. And what I have noticed is that back in the 40s, in the 50s, they did had a lot of blues, you know, like a lot of blues players and jazz players, artists. You know, back in that time, we had like Muddy Waters, Coco Taylor, Memphis Minnie, you know, who made Hoodoo Lady, Junior Wells, Robert Johnson, Dr. Clayton, in Holland Wolf, and so many other artists in Screaming Hawkins, Jay Screaming Hawkins. Back in those times, they were making music. Like a lot of us probably didn't understand what they were talking about and what they were saying, but a lot of them was making music and telling stories about visiting places in the South, or the hoodoo and voodoo and different spell works and all these different things in the music. And at that time, people were just listening to it and like, oh yeah, you know, I'm listening to the story and they got the tunes going, but they really are talking about things that probably at that time was not able to be understood. Like you said, that a lot of people really didn't talk about, which now in today's, it's a thing now. So at that time, they would tell you these things in the music, and we never really heard it. Like me, of course, I really didn't hear because, of course, I wasn't out at that time. But these are music that my grandmother and them was listening to. So now that I'm older, it's like these songs is coming back around. But now it's not coming back around as in, oh my gosh, it's a bad, horrible song. What are they talking about doing to these people? Now these songs coming back around that you can go into YouTube and type in voodoo music or voodoo blues, and they would show all these lists of artists in the 40s and 50s that made songs according to what they thought was voodoo and hoodoo. And now people are playing these music as it's a classic hit. Like, oh, I love this music. They proud, you know, like they pride about it. They had the pride, they're playing this stuff now, even though a lot of these music probably wasn't played at that time. Just like some of the music that Screaming Hawk made that was banned, like Put a Spell on You. That was banned for a minute because a lot of people didn't understand what he was talking about in the song. But now that song is popular. It's being played by many different artists and played in so many different ways that it's a popular thing now. And so for you guys, what are y'all thinking now? Like how the artists at that time making these type of music that was already put out there and people didn't understand, to now that it's big and popular and it's resurfing back around again.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that, Sister Bianca, because you know, I've been listening to a lot of Son House lately, and you know, he was a popular you know, player back in the days, and you know, all his, you know, his songs, you know, were about relationships and love, but he was a preacher that was a preaching blues man, and he would go back and forth, and he, you know, he had his controversial time, but you know, as Robert Johnson and, you know, and Howlin' Wolf and all these others. But if you think about it, you know, the music that was being played in the community, it goes back even further. That's such a deep conversation as well, sis, because, you know, we as a people, you know, we communicated through our music, and that's how we talked to each other. That's how we told each other stories. That's how we would warn each other about certain things. And then when, during the 60s and so forth, when people started coming in and taking the music and putting them on tracks and recording everybody, and then taking those tracks overseas, and then you have all these other bands come out and they playing them and turning them into, pop songs and rock songs. It kind of diffused the message that was being put out there. But through that medium of music, we're talking about the West and culture and religion and spirituality and the culture. A lot of the youth are controlled, manipulated, and under the spell of music, and that music that they have been pushing, and the music that they push in the radio waves, all the waves of the music that have the lowest vibrations. They're talking about the worst topics, talking about all drugs and violence that is on the the radios. And yeah, it's good to bounce to it, and it's good to listen to it and jive with it, but at the same time, you are constantly feeding your mind those messages. Whereas in the past, the songs that were being sung were songs about movement, songs about uplifting things. And so that's a whole nother topic, sis, because it's like a lot when it comes to music. You're talking about vibrations and everything there, but the music definitely, even for our artists today, we don't have a lot of artists. Back in the 60s, people was talking about, opposing war and opposing, the governments and all that kind of stuff. And now you really don't hear a whole lot of musicians talking against anything or speaking about what's going on in the community. And that's something that's lost as well.
It's
It
not
seems
lost.
whatever has given us
It's on
power.
purpose.
Yeah, whatever has given us power, supported our magic, supported our growth, has either been destroyed or attempted to destroy it, appropriate it, commercialize it, demonize it. So if we can't get rid of it, we're certainly going to take it and suck all the life out of it, and all the good out of it, and make sure that it does not benefit you in the way that it once did. Listening to Bianca speak and Sister Tony, it makes me think that there was a time in my lifetime when hoodoo and voodoo um, was just beneath the surface, and like Tony said, we just didn't call it that, or we didn't point at it. We didn't direct our language specifically to it, but it was all around us. Many of our family members were deeply ingrained and involved in it, and we as the present generation of elders and leaders and practicing members have to continue to sort of feed those who are coming up behind us to ensure the authenticity is maintained of the practice. Certainly, it will continue to evolve as it has always, continued, to evolve. But certainly, we must continue to protect and gatekeep it so that it is not just diffused and watered down, and all the life of it is sort of taken out of it. And we're certainly, running out of time. So I certainly appreciate the conversation. It was really a great conversation. We will continue on tomorrow night with the continuation of this conversation. Do we need Vodou, and Voodoo? Certainly, we've established that we do, but we need to get into some more specifics. And what role do these traditions offer in Western societies and combating the demons and jinn that we face in a modern Western world? And we're always thankful for our listenership from Facebook pages, groups, profiles, all of our Facebook pages, groups, and profiles. New Orleans Black in the Day, Shrine of the White Cloth, Black Hawk Voodoo. And we certainly are thankful for our international listenership by way of LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, and certainly we're always grateful for those who show up in our Instagram listenership. Apostle Hudson, one, a regular participant and listener. Justice Sky 66, we certainly appreciate you. Awesome Canadian, indeed, you are awesome for supporting us tonight. Um, Justice Sky 66, again, greetings to you and yours. Reggae Vibes, we certainly appreciate you. Honey Bunny 310 joined us. K No joined us. Kurtavia McConnell joined us. Sweets Russ joined us. Negogo Nor, I believe. I could be saying that wrong. 10. Please forgive me for the mispronunciation, but we certainly appreciate your presence and your energy. Yoso Gomo, we certainly appreciate you. Yana Master Harris, we certainly appreciate you. King the Husband Material joined us. NBA Rico joined. And Sandra Bykowski joined. And again, we invite your continued support, love, participation. Please click the like, share, follow buttons if you are certainly listening by way of YouTube. Even click that $ at the bottom of your screen. Elder Reggie will remind you of our GoFundMe link by way of our website, and we'll share our announcements with his closing remarks as he closes out the show. Again, we look forward to meeting you at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on tomorrow night and weeknights at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on a platform near you, or by way of our QR code in the corner of the screen, or by utilizing our URL, which I will now scroll at the bottom of the screen. Again, thank you. All is a blessing. Elder Reggie, please move us forward.
Thank you, Divine Prince. Our GoFundMe, NOIVD, New Orleans International Vodou Day, GoFundMe. The link is there. Please support us in this event. Our next new moon ritual prayer and application ceremony will occur on Wednesday, March 18, in Pisces at 6:30 p.m. Their location is 710 Cluid Street. It's a ritual spiritual warfare gathering and application ceremony. Please come out and support this event if you're local. Before I close out and read Lest We Forget, if I could, I just wanted to share a snippet of the conversation me and Brother Tyson Horn had today. We know Michael B. Jordan and Little and the other guy, they're may win some awards. They won some as we move forward because of the movie Sinner. In the movie Sinner, there is an antagonist. Hoodoo is used throughout the movie to fight against the antagonist, and the antagonist is vampires. Now, we could use that in a lot of different ways of metaphors for the vampires that we face in our daily lives today. We're using it to say we can use our traditions, indigenous medicines, to ward off evil, as in the sense of a vampire. And that's the perspective I wanted to put that in. Lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. We continue to have work to do. With that, I say Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Good night, everyone in the listening audience. We love you. We truly do. And we'll be back tomorrow night.
Love you all.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Everyone.
Good night.
Odabo.
Odabo.
Support the preservation of a vital cultural tradition. Vodou faces erasure and misrepresentation in today's world. Your support ensures Vodou's future and cultural integrity. Help preserve this vital culture today.
At the beginning of this, maybe I was more skeptical. As the days have gone on, I'm not sure what I think anymore.
I felt that maybe it wouldn't affect me if I personally didn't believe in it.
So, knowing what you know now, would you still get cursed?
I'm seeking out a curse, a hex to put on myself.
A curse could end your life. You're literally begging the devil to knock on your door just to prove to you that God's real.
He could curse you with stupidity, but we think you got that down.
Despite the warnings, I'm investigating the real-world effects of dark magic.
Looks like you have a lot of love and a lot of opportunity. You are going to cause damage to that.
How do you feel after doing this?
Evil.
That must be quite seductive.
That's the power you're calling on. The devil, right? Quite seductive.
I'm going to enter into a pact with Satan.
Señor Satán, Lucifer, presentamos a este hermano. Con tu fuego purifica.
Wyong is pretty much the epicenter of all black magic. People are very scared to even talk about it.
Y'all better not call me at 2 o'clock in the morning talking about this man is dead. I don't want to hear that.
I have this physical feeling that something bad is coming. What have I done?
You're going to have to find faith in this in order to undo it.